Hello YouTube, thank you for clicking by. My name's Justin and today I'm bringing you a layman's review of the Manfrotto Compact Action Aluminum Tripod. That's quite a name, but what do I know? I'm not an engineer, I'm just a layman. So, on the topic of being a layman, this review is really intended for people who just want a brutally honest opinion by somebody who doesn't know really anything about the product he's reviewing. I am just an entry-level hobbyist consumer right now, and my review will reflect that. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and get into my thoughts on the Manfrotto Compact Action Aluminum Tripod. So the case that it comes with is pretty nice. I'm honestly a fan of it just because it's not a cheapo case that they threw in just to say they threw in a freebie, but it seems to be a really nice quality case. It seems to be durable enough to be resistant to holes, tears, scratches, stuff like that. And it's actually got a little bit of padding inside the case itself. That way you don't get your tripod all dinged up and scratched and scuffed and bent and all that. So one thing that I also like about this carrying case is that it doubles up as a shoulder bag. So like I said, it's an entry-level tripod geared for, obviously, entry-level photographers. And that being said, most entry-level photographers may not have a case or a backpack or something to carry their tripod around in, and I dang sure don't want to leave it all floating around willy-nilly. So, I mean, it's a $60, $70 tripod, but either way, I buy something to last, and I like to take care of the things that I buy. So, thanks to Manfrotto for throwing in this case inside the package at no extra charge. We appreciate it as entry-level enthusiasts. So, when you open up the drawstring bag, one of the first things you might see inside there is just the warranty and instruction booklet that it comes with. To be honest with you, I haven't cracked it open yet because it's a very self-explanatory tripod. I don't think instructions are really necessary, at least if you have any clue what you're doing. One thing it does come with looks like some kind of spare part. It's this little plastic piece right here. And my best guess is that this would be some kind of adapter for the mount on the tripod itself. It doesn't seem to provide any kind of cushion, but it looks more like a spacer or something like that. Like I said, I'm a layman. What the heck do I know, right? Pulling out the tripod from the bag is pretty simple. It does have one little wing nut that it might get hung up on, but I don't really have any complaints given that it is a free carrying case, so you won't hear me complaining. Tripod coming out of the package looks just like this. Very compact, very neat. And unfolding the legs is definitely a pretty good quality feeling when you unfold them. So there's a nice little glide. There's no stutters or hangs or anything like that. So it feels like the joints on the tripod legs are built pretty strong, and that's one thing that I like. And honestly expected from a brand like Manfrotto. I've heard a lot about them. So at its lowest height, it is 17.3 inches, and that's about as low as it can go. At its maximum height, it goes to about 61 inches, which, in my opinion, for an entry-level photographer is higher than you'll probably ever need to use your camera at, unless you're photographing people that are 7 foot tall, or maybe you're photographing the LA Lakers or something. You might need a camera tripod that goes higher than that, but I don't as an entry-level enthusiast, so I can't imagine that you would either. The maximum capacity for this tripod is pretty light. It has a maximum capacity of 3.3 pounds. Most entry-level cameras, like this Canon Rebel right here that I'm borrowing from a friend, or the A6400 that I'm shooting on, are well below 3.3 pounds. So you probably won't have any issues with this tripod. However, if you have a very large lens or a big full-body camera that weighs more than 2.5, 3 pounds, you might be a little skeptical putting it on this tripod, at least when it's fully extended to maximum height, because the lower legs on this thing tend to be a little thin and flimsy from my experience. All right, so starting from the top of the tripod here, on the head itself, you'll notice that the top of it is quite flat, which makes sense for mounting cameras on top of it. Inside the flat part, you'll see that it comes with a little threaded camera mount right there that seems to be universal, at least on the Sony and Canon cameras that I've tried so far with it. As far as I know, that is the industry standard. So, of course, check and make sure that your camera has one of these little threaded mounts on the bottom of it before you buy this tripod, and make sure you don't have to buy an adapter, but all the information for compatibility should be available when you're on the website purchasing the product in the first place. So make sure you look out for that. Just make sure it's compatible with your camera. So when you want to mount your camera up and you want to release this little mount that's inside there, you just pull back on this little latch and it'll pop open, and then you can lift your threaded mount straight out of the top of the tripod. As far as mounting your camera goes, we use the prop camera we have right here, the Canon Rebel. So the hole you're looking for looks about like that right there. And then this threaded piece should screw right into that No special tools or wrenches or screwdrivers or anything like that required. And you'll just screw it until it's snug, and then you can take it and drop it right back into that hole on the top of your camera, like so. And then you'll pop your latch back into place, locking the camera in. So one little adjustment they have for that latch for mounting your camera is right over here on the side, and you'll see that it has a little plus and a minus on it. So when you go down and you tighten it all the way up, that basically snugs down the tripod's grip on the threaded mount inside the head. And when you loosen it all the way up, it loosens the grip of the tripod head on the camera mount, as you'd probably imagine. To be honest with you, I would just leave it somewhere in the middle unless you notice that your camera has some wiggle on top of the tripod. But I'd always recommend, of course, making sure that it's snug and not going to fall off the tripod head, which I haven't had any issues with that so far. Moving on around, you'll notice that the tripod head does have a pistol grip for it. So what I like about the pistol grip is it allows you to move the camera head around freely, so that if you want to get some pan shots or some kind of motion shots like that, you can do so in a pretty smooth manner. I will say that it's not very buttery smooth. I didn't expect it to be though, because it's a budget entry-level tripod. But on the pistol grip itself, it has this wheel that you can either access with your thumb from the top or your fingers from the bottom. And when you loosen this wheel up, it loosens the tripod head's grip on the tripod body itself. And when you tighten it up, as you would imagine, it tightens up the grip of the head on the body. So if you want it to go up, down, left, right, you of course just move it around, up, down, left, right, and then you can find your spot you like it in and lock it into place like that. Over here, on this side, you'll notice this little latch right here. So this little latch will go between the camcorder mode and the camera mode right there. So right now it's in camcorder mode, and what sticks out to me in the camcorder mode is that it'll allow you to move up, down, left, right, but it will not let you tilt the camera on the tripod itself. If you switch it over to camera mode like this, it will allow you to tilt the camera left to right and also move it around completely freely without any kind of resistance. And then when you want to lock the camera back on its tilt axis, you just flip the switch, of course, back to its original camcorder position like that, and it locks the tilt. So pretty simple, pretty easy to use. You can't really go wrong there. One thing you can do, you'll notice that this tripod does have a pretty long neck right here. It's about 12 inches, is you can loosen up this wing nut and raise the neck of the camera up or down as needed. And then when you have it in its desirable spot, you just tighten the wing nut back and it locks that neck into position. One thing that I really like about this neck is that you can loosen the wing nut over here, and then there's a little button you can press down here at the bottom of the neck, and that will actually release it from the tripod itself. So what this allows you to do is position the camera upside down, hanging directly below the tripod like this. So that's pretty neat. Obviously, you'd want to extend the legs further down as to where the tripod's not resting directly on your camera, but this could be useful if you want to get some really close to the ground shots that are on a tripod, so they're much more stable than holding it with your hand. So that's one thing that's pretty neat, and something that a lot of people might not know about whenever they buy this tripod initially. And to put it back, of course, you just push in that little aluminum tab again, pop her out, flip her over, and then you just pop it back into place, and you are good to go. As far as the tripod legs themselves go, you have 4 latches on all 3 feet, and you can undo the 4 latches pretty much in one clean motion if you have big enough hands, which is one thing I like about it. It's very easy to use, and of course when you want to lock the legs into place, you just flip your latches up as you would probably guess. Now, like I mentioned earlier, these legs towards the bottom, when fully extended, are pretty thin. They're aluminum, so they're not the sturdiest in the world, but like I said, if you don't have a camera that weighs a ton, this should suffice just fine as long as you take good care of it. So with the tripod legs fully extended out, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leg segments on each leg. With it fully extended and the neck fully raised, you can see it's pretty dang tall. In case you can't tell, I'm about 6'4", so I'm taller than average, so that gives you any kind of reference. So to most people at an average height of about like this, that puts the camera at or above the average person's eye level, which, like I said earlier, is plenty tall enough for most entry-level uses. So, in conclusion, I definitely recommend the Manfrotto Compact Action Aluminum Tripod. That name throws me off every time. Mostly because the price point is hard to beat at around $60, and I'm sure no matter where you shop online, you can find it for maybe 80 bucks or less. To be honest with you, I wouldn't pay more than 80, but 60 is a pretty fair price in my opinion. The product is a well-designed product, seems to be very well thought out, and the components used in the product itself seem to be of good enough quality to get an average user like myself by without any kind of hardships. As long as you're careful to it, keep it in its bag and don't let it bang around too much, it should hold up just fine for at least several years of use, as far as I can tell at this point. So, I highly recommend it. I don't think that you can go wrong, and I don't think that you'd regret buying this tripod. If you guys have any questions about the tripod that I might be able to answer, feel free to leave a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And other than that, you guys leave a like if you liked and leave a subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll catch you guys next time. See you later.